Hey there, welcome back to the channel. Greetings from my house here in Koh Samui. In this video, I wanted to go through kind of an end of the year update and share some of the goals that I achieved throughout the year, achievements, accomplishments, that sort of thing, personal and business otherwise. And then also going into 2025, what are some of my goals that I want to achieve in the new year? So I think it's really important to set goals. I don't necessarily think that you have to necessarily achieve all of them. Just give yourself a pat on the back if you're able to do 2 or 3 or 4 of them, right? And that's what I was able to do this year. So one of my goals for 2024 was to visit both Vietnam and the Philippines. This has been on my bucket list for many years now. These are 2 destinations that I've been wanting to go to, and they're very, very close to Thailand. So I decided to, in around, May, April, to visit Da Nang. And didn't really know what to expect. I had a couple friends over there, both digital nomads. And I was also invited to a conference, a digital nomad conference in the Philippines for the 2nd year running. I was also invited in 2023, but I had to turn them down due to financial circumstances. And I just wasn't really in the right frame of mind at that time to go to the Philippines. But this year I said, yeah, we're going to make it happen. I don't care if it's a paid speaking event or anything. Pretty much everything was comped, right? And I just had to take care of the airfare. And at the time, I actually had to leave Thailand anyway on a visa run. And I didn't really know what to do exactly, but I just decided to get a 90-day visa, multiple entry visa in Vietnam for I think it was like $50, something like that, right? So that would allow me to go to Da Nang and use that as a temporary home base for just a couple weeks. That was the plan before going to the Philippines for this speaking event at the conference, right? So I was really excited, and, never been to Vietnam before. I've heard mostly good things about the country, and it's also a lot cheaper than Thailand as well. So I didn't realize just how much more affordable it was. I think it was like 40 to 50% cheaper roughly compared to Thailand, especially Samui, where I live here on the island. And that was very appealing to me. So after about 3 weeks over there, I was really loving the place. There were some things that were starting to get on my nerves, like the constant road noise and just certain cultural things as well. But I also really, really liked Vietnam. I went to Hue, which is, it was actually the site of one of the bloodiest battles during the Vietnam War. And it was a very interesting place to visit. Went there with 2 friends on the train. So we took the train from Da Nang to Hue. It was incredible. I could probably leave some video footage in here for you guys to watch, but you can just check out one of my YouTube videos on Hue. Maybe I'll leave a card up here or something, so you can check that out. Plenty of videos from Vietnam. I was doing daily lives pretty much. I was making videos consistently a couple times a week, same as what I do over here in Thailand. And it was incredible, right? It's like, an experience I will never forget. But after about 3 weeks in Vietnam, I decided to, as I promised, I was going to this conference. That was one of the reasons I went to Vietnam in the first place, Da Nang, which is a beautiful beach city, by the way. It's very nice. It kind of reminds you of like Miami, but much, much more affordable, right? So 3 weeks there, and then I booked a ticket to Manila in the Philippines. Now, going into Manila, I had heard kind of a lot of horror stories about the place. Well, not horror stories, but most people just recommended staying there for like 2 to 3 days and then carrying onward, going down to the islands as well. There's so many islands in the Philippines. There's like 7,000 islands in the Philippines, right? But I was specifically going to a conference in El Nido, which is considered like the crown jewel of the Philippines. So my expectations were really, really high for the El Nido, and unfortunately, it didn't quite live up to those expectations, I will say. But it was a new place to visit, right? Because for the most part, I mostly just stay here in Thailand. I've been here roughly 5 years now. And I used to do a lot of traveling in my earlier years, like 21 onwards. I was backpacking through South America for roughly a year. Went all the way down to Patagonia in Chile, one of the most beautiful places I've ever seen in my entire life. So after the Philippines, I had a great time, met a lot of people at this conference. Some of them have turned into potential business partners that I will be working with for possibly years to come. And yeah, I met a lot of really interesting people over there, and I did my speaking event. Everything went off without a hitch. So it was a lot of fun, and I enjoyed El Nido. And then I went I went to Cebu for a media collaboration with a hotel over there. And it's a place also I wanted to visit because one of my good friends in Samui she's originally from Cebu City, and spent a few more days in Manila, and then I flew back to Bangkok. And I will say, as soon as I got back to the airport, Don Mueang International Airport in Bangkok, I felt this overwhelming sense of relief wash over me once my feet were back on the ground, and I saw monks in the airport, and I was like, I feel like I'm home again. Don't ask me why. Maybe it's just because I've been here for a long enough period of time, and I feel at home in Thailand. Every time I travel somewhere else and I come back, it's just like, overwhelming sense of gratitude to be back in Thailand, right? Especially after the Philippines. I was not particularly happy there. I was only there for about 3 weeks, but after 3 weeks, I was like, I gotta get back to Thailand. This is just, it's not the place for me. There are a lot of things that were starting to get on my nerves in the Philippines, which I've already touched on in some of my other videos as well. Don't get me wrong. It's a beautiful country. Some of the remote islands off the coast of El Nido were like the most spectacularly beautiful place I've ever seen in my life. White sandy beaches, nobody around, just absolutely amazing, right? But I would say for long-term living, I was able to determine that Philippines is probably not going to be suitable for me, right? And that's one of the reasons that I went there in the first place, just to kind of suss it out and determine, where I belong. But the fact of the matter is, I already feel like I belong here in Thailand. And that brings me to my next point for moving into 2025, which is I'm planning on getting married at the beginning, sometime next year. We haven't exactly planned everything out yet, but ultimately it's going to be determined by finances at this stage, for better or worse, right? So one of the goals for 2025 is to get my finances up to a higher level. And on that point, I've just recently put up a video on my YouTube channel, which you're more than welcome to watch. It is a villa tour that I did for some friends here in Samui. They're looking to sell their villa for, $789,000 roughly. And I've put up a video, and basically if I'm able to find a buyer for that villa, I can potentially get a 5% commission. So this is something that I would really like to achieve in 2025, is to actually help them sell this villa so that I could get the commission, and that will ultimately solve a lot of the financial burdens that I'm having to overcome right now, such as, getting a visa, getting married, starting a business over here, traveling more. Me and my fiance really want to go to Japan. We've been talking about it for years now, and we still haven't made it happen. In fact, between me and her, we've never left Thailand, so we've never actually traveled anywhere outside of Thailand yet. Not yet anyway, for roughly 4 years. We've been together 4 years now. And she's the light of my life. I love her very much. Sometimes we get on each other's nerves, which is to be expected in any relationship. I think that goes without saying. But if you're not having some sort of, arguments here and there, then you're not really in a good relationship, right? You need to actually kind of talk things out. And communication is really, really important for any long-term lasting relationship, right? So now we've been together 4 years. I proposed to her earlier this year. I think it was around March before I left for Vietnam. And I basically, I just got down on one knee. I picked out a beautiful beach in the southern part of Koh Samui, and I picked out a ring, spur of the moment. I wasn't even really planning things out ahead of time. I just decided, okay, today's the day. I'm going to make this happen. And I picked out a beach. I guess I could put a little video on here, but it's probably not going to because it's kind of private. But, so I proposed to her earlier this year, and then this year, 2025, it's currently New Year's Eve here in Thailand. So 2025, we're going to get married. It's something that we've been planning out for a long time. And this is also going to basically be a catalyst for getting my family over here as well, because they haven't visited me in Thailand for 5 years. They've had an open invitation for roughly 3 years realistically, because there was that thing, the pandemic. So yeah, they didn't come over during that period of time, obviously. But yeah, they're going to come over here for the wedding, most likely, because that's part of the cultural tradition here in Thailand, and really anywhere. If you think about it, the family should be present at the wedding, right? So that will hopefully get them over to Thailand, which has been another one of my goals for a long time, is getting my family over here. My dad still doesn't have a passport. Luckily, my mom finally got her passport after roughly, 60 years. She finally has her passport. So there's really no excuses for her not to come over here. And she's really chomping at the bit. She really wants to make it over to Thailand. And, so I'm really excited to get my family over here, show them around Thailand, versus going back to the United States, where I'm just not going to be happy. And I know that already. I don't actually have to go there to realize this fact. I just really have no interest in going back to the U.S. It's super expensive. The people seem miserable. I don't like the political situation over there. I've listed many of these things in many of my other videos. So yeah, I'm not going to give up. I'm planning on staying right here in Thailand. Commitment is the key, right? I don't want to give up on what I'm already doing. And if that means not seeing my family for long periods of time, unfortunately, that's just what it comes down to, right? And they can easily come over here to visit me anytime they want. And actually, my friend tried to call me during this video, so I will have to do a little bit of editing just to basically put these two clips together. But other than that, I'm not going to do much editing at all. And I find that on YouTube, a lot of times these types of videos do better than the ones that are super polished. So, if you're looking to start a YouTube channel, let's say in 2025, I would highly recommend just getting started, right? Because a lot of people make excuses after excuses about why it's not possible, right? Maybe they don't have the right camera equipment. Maybe they think they need to learn more new skills. They compare themselves to others. It's like, oh, I'll never be like such and such. So why even start in the first place? And a lot of those things you're just shooting yourself in the foot, so to speak. So yeah, if you are looking to start your own YouTube channel in 2025, I would say just get started. There's no time like the present. And, the best time to start a YouTube channel was like, say, 10, 15 years ago. And the second best time is today, quite honestly. And this is one of the best decisions that I made back in 2020, was starting this YouTube channel. Hasn't been an overnight success. Every year, though, it just seems like I continue getting more and more views on the channel, getting more and more support, more people signing up for my newsletter, which is completely free, by the way. Link in the description below where you can sign up for that newsletter. And this is another thing that I want to continue with in moving into 2025, is just growing this newsletter, providing a lot of free value, getting people enrolled into my coaching program. I like to get 2 to 3 clients within the next, up until about March. If I could get 1 client per month moving into the new year, that would be a big win for me. I would like to continue living in Asia, specifically Thailand, although I would also like to continue traveling around a bit. Like I mentioned earlier in this video, I really want to go to Japan this year. I've been talking about it for a long time. And then also maybe Australia, because it's not too far away from Thailand. And also Malaysia, Kuala Lumpur. And one of my friends in the Philippines, his name is Jeff. And he actually invited me to Kuala Lumpur at the beginning of the new year, just to kind of, I guess, get me out of my routine over here in Thailand and show me around the city. So I'm kind of considering that. I think it would be a good kind of first step to start traveling a bit more into 2025. And I have been wanting to visit Kuala Lumpur for a long time. So far, I've only been to Penang in Malaysia for a border run. That's where I went to get my work permit when I started working for the company. So that was like around January or the end of 2022, I believe. November, October, sometime around then. So yeah, I worked for that company for about a year, and then I decided to quit because they weren't paying me a salary. Enough said, right? So I decided to quit that job. But I'm still on good terms with my former boss. And I was actually able to get a sponsorship letter from him because I think we're going to continue working on projects moving into 2025, specifically for getting expats over to Thailand and getting them all set up with the work permit. Let's say that we're working for a remote company back in their home country, and maybe they want to get the work permit. That's one of the things that we help with at this company called Work Paradise. So this could be yet another opportunity in 2025. I've been able to get a lot more intentional about my traveling over the years. Before I just, threw everything by the wayside and I'm like, okay, I want to go here. I picked a place on the map and I'm like, okay, let's go here. But now I'm a lot more intentional. So I really only travel unless I have a specific reason to go to that place, whether it's a media collaboration or maybe like a speaking event, as I did in the Philippines earlier this year. These sorts of things are really the driving force between why I travel. And I think it's really that's going to continue into 2025 is just to have that intentionality behind travel. Because to be perfectly honest, I'm not made of money. I think a lot of my viewers on the channel already realize this fact. I'm still just barely getting by between YouTube and Facebook and the occasional clients here and there. So for me, it doesn't make a lot of sense to just be jet setting all over the world. It's simply not possible at the end of the day, right? And this is also one of the reasons why I don't return to the US as well, because the flights are prohibitively expensive, especially if I'm flying out of Samui. They're like $1,500. Depending on when you fly. It could be a lot lower than that, like maybe $1,000 round trip. And also, I simply don't want to be in the United States anymore, right? And I would also encourage any of you who are watching this video and maybe you want to make a change in your life or business, personal or otherwise, in 2025 to ultimately just get that plane ticket, right? If you want to come on over to Thailand, stop making excuses, and just make it happen, right? That was one of the most difficult things for me, in 2019 when I took off for Bali. I just bought that one-way ticket. And ultimately that was the biggest expense, was the plane ticket, right? So a lot of people, they're like, oh, I could never afford to live in Thailand. You must have a lot of money to be living over there. But the fact of the matter is that is the exact opposite of the case. Right? You don't need a ton of money to have a pretty good lifestyle over here. And I've talked about this in a lot of my other YouTube videos as well. So you're welcome to check any of those out. But it's ultimately just going to come down to a shift of mindset for you. And this is one of the things as well that I help people with in the coaching program, is helping them to shift their mindset to realize that ultimately you're going to have a much better quality of life, most likely over here in Thailand versus in the US or Canada or Australia, any United Kingdom, any number of places. So yeah, if you're looking to make a change in 2025, stop making excuses, go out there and make it happen. And, let me know if you have any questions in the comments below. And we'll see you in the new year. Going to be going to Lamai Beach tonight for some celebrations. They're going to have fireworks. And I was considering going to Chaweng, but I think it's just going to be too busy. So we're just going to stick here in Lamai and then call it an early night, most likely, after 12 o'clock. So hope you have a happy new year and enjoy 2025. With that being said, take care and stay safe. Peace from Thailand. Till next one. See you in 2025.